Welcome to Assignment 3. This is not it shouldn't be a very long assignment for us, but it's a very important assignment for us. We're going to be passing data from page 1 to page 2 to page 3. And it's really a fundamental of web development that you absolutely must understand, or you will have troubles going on. So if we look at just a flow diagram very quickly, we're going to start on page 1. We're going to fill out some form elements, and what we type, as the user, what we type into that will get passed to the second page. And on that second page, we will pull that data from the first page and display it on the second page. When we click submit again, it will pass that data. We may have changed it, we may not have. We'll pass that data from page 2 onto page 3. And page 3 will retrieve that data from page 2 and display it once again. So we're going to be passing data from page to page to page. And that's the crux of what we're doing in this assignment. So we're going to have 3 files that we're working with. We've got index, which you really won't have any work to do in, get form data, and then display form data. Let's go ahead and look at a finished solution. So here it is laid out for us. What we're going to do is type some information in here. So I'm going to auto-populate. I chose my whatever came up there. Let's put USA, and then let's put fake phone number. I'll just put some garbage for comments. And then let's actually leave that empty. So I won't put anything in this the first time around. When I click proceed, what I want you to notice is that up here in the URL, we are on index.php. So when I click proceed, we're going to change to getFormData.php, but the page is going to look identical. This right here should also change. So there we're on getFormData.php. Up here in the URL, you'll see we are on a second page, a different page. What we did was grab all of that data that was on the first page, and we wrote it into these form fields. Not only that, but because we left the right-hand side empty, we copied this and we pasted it over in here. And then when we click proceed again, we land on a third page. Again, up here in the URL, displayFormData.php. So we're on a different page again. And this time we grabbed what was on that second page and we displayed it here. And that's the whole finished solution. Now coming back to the first page here, index.php, the layout and everything you're not going to have to worry about. I'll give you that as a starter file, so we'll download that. And we just focus on the PHP and the assignment. And that link is there, so you can go and you can try it yourself. In terms of what our starter file is, we've got an index page here, and so I need you to download that. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to extract all, which will open it in a folder for me. On my desktop here, I have a folder called Assign03. That's going to be the folder that I'm working in. So again, it's right here on my desktop. So I'm going to place that index page into my Assign03 folder. And I'm going to leave my desktop folder on the upper left-hand side of the screen here, because I'm going to open another folder down here that's going to be the server folder. So I've got here my desktop folder. I am working off of campus. So in order for me to access the web server, I have to enable my virtual private network, or my VPN. So I'm going to go to my network settings. I've set up a Purdue VPN within there, which launches this here. I'm going to click on Purdue VPN, hit connect. It's going to connect to it. there I'm connected. I can close that out. To double check it, I can come back here, come back to my network settings, and we can see my Purdue VPN is connected. Once I've done that, I can run my batch file. That's going to connect all of my network drives that are out there. And I've actually done this ahead of time so that I wouldn't have to sit and wait on it. So what I'm going to do is launch another file explorer. And I'm going to put this one down here. I'm going to click on my PC, and then here's my 356 drive that I've mapped already. I'm going to go to my folder. I'm going to look for and here's my Assign03 folder that I'm going to be working on. So this is where I'm going to upload my files to, so that they are on the server. So again, I've already run that, so I'm just going to get it out of the way for the video. So this is my desktop. This is my server space. I have not put a file there yet, so why don't I go ahead and just push this index page up to the server. There, we've copied it. And now I want to navigate to that page in the web browser. So I'm going to launch a new tab. And I'm going to do CGT Web 2. And then I go to 356. And then my folder. Once I'm in my folder, I've got to look for my subfolders that I've got set up. But you can see that I'm in my Assign03 folder. I'm in my index.php file that's loaded here. And so this is the base file that we're going to start working with. Now that we've got that up, we'll keep that up in a separate tab so that we can come back and test it. And I'll keep my specifications up here in a separate tab also. I have Dreamweaver open, working with Creative Cloud. And then what I want to do is open not the file that's on the server. I want to open the file that is on my desktop. So I will work locally, and then as I make changes and I want to test them, I will push them up to the server, and then we can test them from the server there. So I've got this. Again, it's on my desktop here, so if I drag and drop that, you'll see the code there. If you want to do a split view, I'll go to View, Split, Code and Design. And so now we can kind of see how both of them are. I'm going to go back so that we see entirely the code. I'm going to make that text a little bit bigger on the screen. And I want to point some things out. Because I'm not having you type any of this, I at least want to go through it. So we've got an opening form tag here. Here's the opening form. The form must have ID, method, action, and name equals. So each element that is inside of the form, there are inputs, and this is from your earlier HTML class. So if you need to refresh, but everything has a name. So name equals, name equals, name equals, name equals, and so on, all the way down through here. That name equals is what is allowing the data to be sent from page 1 to page 2. It's incredibly important. So again, if I highlight the beginning form here, it'll highlight the closing form for me. Inside of there, these are layout. So this is all for CSS here. The field set open and close, second field set open and close, third field set open and close. And to see that, just follow these lines. You'll see 1, 2, and 3. The legend is what's written within that line that's there. So billing information here and shipping information there. And then For laying form elements out on a page, we do not organize them using a table. You never should. We use unordered lists. And then if we scroll up here, we'll see a lot of CSS that I've put in the file for you. And later after this assignment, you can copy it, rename it as something different, and then play around with it to get used to it. But you can see we're positioning things absolutely on the page, and so on. So coming back to the form. So a lot of these tags are just for laying things out on the page, but coming back to the form, let's talk about passing data. Within this, we have a method equals. And for this assignment, the method is going to be set equal to post. It is typically either set equal to post or get. Post sends the information in name equal value pairs in the header, so it is not seen anywhere on the screen. Get sends the exact same information in the same name equal value pairs, but it sends it in the URL so that it is actually seen on the screen because it's going to be in the address bar. So we're using post, and there are times to use get, but for right now, let's stick with post and let's get the passing information down and getting the PHP down. There's an action. The action points to the page where the data needs to be sent. So we are on index.php. When I type information into these form fields, I want that data to be sent to a page called getFormData.php. So we need to create that page. And then when we get to getFormData.php, we will be recalling back. We will be looking for _post address, an _post city, an _post state. We'll be looking for all of these names, and case sensitivity is important. You'll notice if there's a capital like down here, you'll want a capital on the next page. So and all the way through here, you're looking at name equals. Now all of them do have an ID equals, which I have set to be the exact same thing to try and avoid confusion. So you'll see that for all of them, they're exactly the same for this assignment. ID equals is for JavaScript. JavaScript or jQuery, which is JavaScript. It's to allow you to grab that element and do something with it on the client side using scripting. So the name equals is what actually passes the data from page 1 to page 2. All right. So we've got this index page. I did add the name equals form 0 there. I'm going to go ahead and save that page. I'm going to come back to my folders here. Again, upper left is my desktop. This file here I'm going to select. I'm going to do a Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. So all I've done is duplicate that index page. And I'm going to rename it as getFormData.php. I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And again with the index page, Control-C, Control-V. And this one is display formdata.php. And so now I've got my 3 pages, but I'm not going to push them up to the server yet. Actually, the index page, I made that one minor change. I'm going to go ahead and push that up to the server. It's not actually going to change anything on the server, but nothing that you'll see anyway. So now I've got those pages. So now what I want to do is I'll go ahead and have all of them open. So I'm just going to select them all, pull them over to Dreamweaver. Try that again. There we go. So right now they will all look identical, which could be confusing. So you've got to pay attention to the names up here. The first thing I want to do to help with that, it's a small change on each page, but you'll see we've got index page here and here. So let's highlight getFormData.php. Make sure you're on that page. And let's change that word to getFormData. And let's again change it down here and then save that page. Likewise, on display form data, make sure you've got that one highlighted, and let's change it here. And again down here. That'll help a little bit, just a visual cue for you to see. Now, we don't need to, let's just close display form data for right now. And we're gonna do a lot of work in getFormData.php. So we need to retrieve the variables that were posted from the previous page and store those into what are called local variables. So local variables begin with $. They're only available on that one page. So if you create a local variable on getFormData, that local variable will not be available when you navigate to display form data. So it's only available on that one page. Okay, just so no one gets confused, let's close index.php so we only have the one file open, getFormData.php, and that's the file we're going to be working on. First, in the action of the form, now because we are on getFormData.php, we need to submit to the next page, which is displayFormData.php. So you're going to want to change the action to be equal to displayFormData.php. Once we've made that small change, we're going to come up to the top here, above the HTML5 doc type tag here, and we're going to add some PHP. So I'll do my open and close PHP delimiters there. Don't leave any white space between those two lines right there, because your doc type tag has to be the first text. So you don't want any white space there. So in our PHP, what we want to do is grab the data from the previous page. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to leave a couple of lines because we'll have to come up and add a little bit. So I'm going to create my local variables. My local variables start with a $. So my first one is $name, and then I have one for address, and so on. So let's go ahead and work with those two. Those are not, as you can see, it's saying, hey, you've got errors here. So we'll say name equals, and then what we're going to use is $_post. And this is, as you can see, it's built into PHP. So anything that is $_ is, there are things that are built into PHP that you can use. And there's several different ones we'll use throughout the semester. The first one you're going to learn here is $_post. So I hit enter, it auto completes that for me. I type a single double quote and it auto completes the second double quote for me. And then this first one happens to be name. So if we were to come back to that first page, which is this, you'll see we have name equals name on that first page. And then your line has to be ended with a semicolon. So we're going to repeat that here, $_post again. And this one is address, all lowercase. And again, this word right here has to match, and I really should open the other page so you know that it's coming from the other page. It's not coming from the same page, it's coming from the first page, which is index.php. So name equals address. It's coming from this input tag right here on index.php. The next one we do will be this input, where name equals city on index.php. Because index submits to getFormData. We come to getFormData, we create a new variable, $city, and we set that equal to $_post, which says, hey, go and get what was from on that previous page and find the value for the name equals city. And we just continue to move down through there. So I'm going to close that index page again. It's a it's a fundamental aspect of web development, passing this data from page to page. So we've got to do state, zip, country, phone. Email and comments. So we'll just work down through here. I'm just lining up my equal signs so that I can read up and down in addition to left and right. And it's going to be the same thing, underscore post, and this time it's state. End it with a semicolon. Post, and this one's going to be zip. And that one will be country. Again, all of those match the name equals on index.php. After country is phone. After phone is email. Oops. And then our last one here for comments. So now what we've done is we've taken that data that's on, this is pulling from index.php, and so like this one would get the value from name equals address on index.php, and so on as you move down through there. And again, that value is what the user typed in the web browser, right? Because when the page loads, it's empty, so you actually have to type something. So the value is what the user types. So now we've created what are called local variables. Again, they're only available on this one page. I've lined up my equal signs because it makes it nice for reading up and down. So if someplace you accidentally forgot an underscore, you'd see it right away and jump out at you. If someplace you forgot a square bracket or any number of things, those things would jump out at you. So you can read up and down in addition to left and right. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. So since we've done these, what we want to do is actually see, that information get passed. So what I'm going to do is I have to do it a little bit lower. So sorry, we've got to, just for this little example, we're going to have to jump down here. Let's go after the H1. And you don't necessarily have to do this. You can just watch the video part for this. Or you certainly can do it if you want. But what I'm going to do is a PHP echo statement, and then write out, let's write out the address. So all that should do is just print it on the screen for us. I'm going to bring up my two folders here. Again, this is my desktop, get form data. I'm going to push it up to the server. You can see that it's there now. Come back here to this page. I'm on index.php. I'm going to type some garbage there into that page. When it comes to the next page, we can see that that garbage was written out on the screen. You'll see that I'm on getFormData.php, and what I typed there was written out. So if I change this, and I hit proceed again. Again, what I typed was grabbed from index.php, and it's being used and written on getFormData.php, and that is what we are working on. So since we have this, up at the beginning I left a little bit of space. What we want to do is put an if statement, because if the user doesn't actually type anything, we don't want it to go to the second page. Now, in the future, we'd make it much more complex than this. But what we're going to do for this assignment, it's early in the semester, is just an if statement. And we're just going to check to see if that first box has anything in it. Yes, we could check every single box on the page. And if one was left blank, we could come back with a message. That's later in the semester. This is our first assignment in here. We're going to check that first box. We're going to use a built-in method of PHP called empty. So we're going to check and see if $_post name is empty. So we are passing this value right here, which is, you can see underlined right here. We're checking to see if that is empty. If it is empty, we are going to redirect and not allow the user to land on this page. So I'm just going to have a header redirect here. We'll do location, and we'll point them back to index.php. So all that is a little catch that says, hey, if you didn't fill anything out, we're going to redirect you back to that page. So let's do, I'm going to save that. I'm going to push this up. And this part you do need to type. I know I told you down here you don't have to type this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. Hopefully that wasn't confusing. So we've got the H1 in the form there. So we do have the if statement at the top. I'm going to push getFormData up to the server once again. And then I'm going to refresh index.php. Now, if I type something here, I will land on getFormData. You'll see that I'm there. If I go back, I'm on index.php again, and I leave this blank. When I hit proceed, you'll see it flash, but it's going to be we're going to land back on the same page. It's still going to say index, right? So it's just a quick flash. So to show us that a little bit better, let's type some garbage in these others, but leave name blank, because this is the one we checked. We didn't check any of these others. So if this one's empty, we're going to come back to index. So there's your that little piece of code in action. Okay. So now that we've done that, in the example that was posted, we filled out the left-hand side and we left the right-hand side empty. So what we need to do in code is check to see, did they leave the right-hand side empty? And if so, let's copy that data over to the right-hand side. So we need to do that in code for those variables. Now, once again, we're not going to check every single box. So it's early in the semester. We're going to check that first box, which has capital S and then name, so S name. So we're going to say if, and again we're going to use that empty, that built-in function in PHP, and we're going to do the same $_post, but this time we're looking for capital S and then lowercase name. So if the shipping name is empty, then what we're going to do is copy all of the billing stuff into the shipping. Else, and then if the shipping name is not empty, then down here in the else, we will actually do the $_post to get that. So for starters, up here, if we get inside here, this would be they did not fill out a shipping information. So what we do is a $ for our local variable, $s name. We'll set that equal to $name, semicolon. And we just move down through just like that. There's an address, city, state, zip, and country. So I've written those out. I'm going to line up my equal signs here. Now what I want you to notice is this $name is this variable up here. We created this variable up here. We are using it down here. Highlight this one. There's address, there's city, there's state, zip, and country. Now for the shipping, there's no phone, email, and comments. So we don't use that here. If you highlight these like I'm doing and they do not highlight up there, you need to check your spelling. Over here, we put a capital S on each one of them. So it's the same word, but it's got a capital S for shipping. So what we've done is create a new set of variables that we can use down below. Now, if we get down here, then it's they did fill out the shipping information. And we need these same variables here. But instead of using local variables, we'll be using $_post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these and I'm going to paste them down here. But then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of everything after the equal sign. For purposes of this video here. So what we need is the same thing that we have up here, $_post. So if they did fill out the shipping information, we want to grab that. So $_post, and we want to grab the value that is in S name. And we move down through there doing the same for each of them, making sure that each one ends in a semicolon. Sorry. So now we've got _post for all of them. Again, all of these start with a capital S name, address, city, state, zip, country. So again, they did fill out the information, so we are pulling it from that page to get those values. So now that we have all of our variables ready to use, what we need is to actually display them on the page. So when we come back here, when we go from index.php, hit proceed, we're landing back here. Fill something out there. We land on that next page. We want that data to be auto-populated into these form fields. So you've all gone to an Amazon or somewhere and filled out some information, and then you've gone away and you've come back another time, and if you want to edit that information, they auto-populate it for you, right? It saves the end user time, and it's all about that. It's all about the end user. And also it's a very common sense thing to do. You don't ask the user to retype their information. If you already have their information, you auto-populate it for them. So it's a measure of usability and that end user experience that we have here. So what we're going to do in code, again, we're in getFormData.php. We're going to scroll down here to the billing and shipping information. And what I want to show you without using PHP code is how we auto-populate. So I'm going to choose this top one, input name equals name. And at the end here, after the max length, I'm going to put value equals, and it'll auto-complete it for me so that there's double quotes there. And I'm going to type some garbage. I'm going to hit save, bring up my folders, push get form data. And when I refresh this page, that garbage that I typed is in there. If I want to change that that garbage that I typed, oops, sorry. Let's change that. I'll save it. Again, I've got to push it up to the server so that I can test it. And I'm just going to refresh this page is all. And there's the new value. So that value equals is what allows us to do the auto population. So I've got value equals double quote, double quote. And what we need to do inside of those double quotes is write out some PHP. So what we will do is put an opening PHP, a couple spaces, and a closing PHP. So we wind up with this open and close PHP inside of the double quotes after the value equals. And then what we want is an echo statement. So my PHP, I have echo with the parentheses and then the semicolon, so it's a complete statement. And what I want to write out is $name, which is one of my variables, as you can see pop up there. So I wind up with this complete PHP statement inside of PHP delimiters inside of double quotes. And I'm going to save that. So when I save that and I come back here, I'll push this file back up to the server once again. Come back here, go to index.php. So you'll see we're on index. I'm going to refresh this page and I'll type in a name. When I go to the next page, you'll see this change here. You'll see this change up here. This will look like it stays the same, which is the point. That's what we want. We're auto-populating. So we landed on get form data. Up here, get form data. Here, this stayed the same. So that's our goal. So now let's duplicate this for the rest of these inputs. So this value equals, I'm going to do a Control C, and I'm going to get the whole thing from value equals from the double quote all the way to the other double quote. And then after each of these max lengths, as we move down through here, I'm just going to paste that. Stop before you get to the text area. Text areas are different. That last one is a text area. We have to do that one differently. So before we do that, let's finish this out. Let's actually, just to show you what happens, you'll see they're all the same. It's echo name. So we've obviously got to come through and change that to address, city, state, and so on. But just to show you, come back to index.php. Type a different name in there. I'll hit proceed. You'll see it auto-populated it into all of those because I put a value equals for all of those. So what we need to do is change this echo on each one. And you want to make sure that it matches up. So name equals address, we need echo address, and so on. So now we've got each of those individual variables down through there. And so now if I push this back up to the server once again, come back to index, type a different name in. This time when I hit proceed, I land on get form data. It does not fill these out because we didn't fill it out on the previous page. So I come back to index.php and I'm going to type just some different letters into each one of those, and I'll hit proceed. We land on getFormData.php, and each of those letters, because we typed it in the previous page, passed to the second page. We grabbed it and we auto-populated these form fields with them. So next, let's go ahead and do these, and then we'll come back to that text area. There's not really any change. We just come down here to these others, and it's still that value equals. So I'm just going to paste that in to these. But instead of name, it's sname. Instead of address, it is saddress. Instead of city, it is scity. And the same with the next three. So you make sure that you've got sname, saddress, scity, state, szip, scountry down through these. We'll save that. And now what we're going to do is make sure that, if we don't fill out the right hand side, that data actually gets copied and placed over there. We did that in the code up above already, so it should be handled for us. So I'm going to come back to index, refresh this page, and so this time I'm going to use a different set of letters. I'm going to leave this blank, and when I come to the next page, get form data, my code up at the top of the page should detect that this was left empty, and because it was left empty, it's going to copy this and place it over here. So I hit proceed, and so you can see it copied that information over for me. Now on the other hand, let's say that I do not leave it empty, and over here I want to use might be the same name, but it's different information. So we've got different characters over here, and I hit proceed, take me to get form data. What I typed in over here is preserved, and what I typed here is preserved. So that's how your code should be functioning. Now the text area. The text area does not have a value equals. So you can see if I try to put it in there, it's not even an option. That's because it has a closing text area tag. All of these others are standalone tags. the text area has a closing text area tag. So the value goes in between the open and closed text area tags. So you can see there's where it begins and ends. And so if I leave that as the value and I push that up to the server, and I'm just going to refresh this page, you can see that what I typed in there winds up in that box. And it does count line breaks. So if you do a line break, it's or white space or whatever you put in there, it's going to be there. So, but what we want is the same PHP. We do not want the value equals, so don't copy that. We want the open PHP to close PHP, not the double quotes. Copy that, and in between the open and closed text area tags, we want to paste that PHP. But instead of $email, it's $comments. So I'll save that. And now I don't believe I typed anything into the comments box. So I'll have to go back to index and type that. So back on index. And you'll see that it is preserved as we get to get form data. So that is going to finish the second page. And we've got one more page to do. We're just going to pass this information again, and I'm probably going to move a little bit faster because it's a lot of the same stuff. It's some repetition for us. So again, we checked to make sure that one of those text boxes was, if it was empty, we grabbed name through comments on the left-hand side. We check to see if the shipping was empty. If it is, we copy the billing into the shipping. If it's not, we actually grab the shipping off of the page and store it into its own set of variables. And then we did auto population. So again, auto population, a user comes back to your site after a period of time and they need to change the data about themselves. You don't want to force them to retype everything. You want to show them what was in there before. So this is how we accomplish the auto population. So now we've got to go on to that third page. And the third page is going to get rid of the labels and the inputs, and we're just going to display the data. So we're going to pass it in again. We're going to pass it to the next page. And again, we did that. That was the first thing we did. So your action on getFormData.php must equal displayFormData.php for this next step to work. So we'll go ahead and make sure that that's saved, and then we're going to open up displayFormData.php. Again, I'm going to grab it off of my desktop, and it's going to look just like the index page did when we first started. This page, much like the second page, we want to have that catch at the top. So it's just that if statement again. And again, we're going to use that built-in empty function from PHP. And we're going to check for $_post, and we're going to look for name once again. Oops. If the posted name is empty coming to this, the third page, we're going to redirect them all the way back to index again. So that's just a catch, basically so that nobody can type this particular URL into the address bar and land on this page. If they try it, they'll get redirected back to the first page. Next, we're going to come down here, and we want to keep a lot of this, the field sets, the legends and stuff. We want to keep that. We want to keep the list items, but we want to get rid of everything in between the open and close list items. So basically you want to be left with this as you move down through there. And so rather than do it to each one of them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it to one, so I've got open and close list item there. And then let me see what I wind up having. 1, 2, 3, 7. So we're going to have 7 of those. So I'll copy that, and what I'm going to do is just get rid of those, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I wind up with my empty LIs there as well. And the same thing down here in the second one. We're going to wind up with 4 LIs there, and again I just want the empty ones. So it's going to look like that. This third field set we no longer need. So we're going to get rid of that field set because there's not going to be a button to go to another page again. And then you'll see that the highlighted open and close form there, we do not need the form either on this page because we don't have any form elements. So we can get rid of the open and close form tags as well. The script that was at the bottom, there is no longer going to be an element with the ID of name on the page, so this script is going to fail, so we're going to delete it off the page. So we wind up with just a couple of field sets, and this is where we're going to write out the information that's going to look like basically a kind of receipt. So if I come to the finished solution once again, and let's fill this out. And let's leave that empty, hit proceed, it fills it out, hit proceed. This is the final page that we are filling out right now. So this is what it's going to look like. We're just again showing that we are grabbing that information from the previous page and we are putting it on to this page and able to use it on this page. So let's lay this out. On that first one, what we need is just the name that was typed. And so let's see here. Inside of each one of these, I'm also going to have a span. I should have done that when I was copying and pasting, but we can just add that in. So I'm going to copy that and paste it into the list items. So then inside of my spans is where I'm going to have my PHP. So I'll do an open and close PHP in there. You don't need these spaces if you don't want them, but it was just showing you I'm in between that open and close span. We're doing an echo statement. So there's my complete echo statement, ends in a semicolon. And then what I want to write out, instead of making the local variables this time, we're just going to write it out directly from the underscore post. So on this third page, rather than adding those local variables back in, we're just going to write out what is from the underscore post as we go down through here. So we've done that. And then on the second line, we need the address. So I'm going to paste that in here, change the word name to address. Now this third one is a little bit different, and to keep it simple for this assignment, we'll do city. There is definitely another way to do this, but for this assignment we'll just do it this way. Outside of that PHP, I'm going to do a comma space and paste it again. And do state, And outside of that PHP, I'm going to do a space and paste it again. And then the zip code. So you've got all three of those on one line. So it's going to be city, comma, space, state, space, zip code. And then after that, we're going to have the country, then the phone, then the email. And then in that last one, what I'm going to do is put a couple of break tags. So I'll put one break tag, put the word comments, colon, another break tag, and then I'll paste this for the comments. So I'm going to save that page. And we can go ahead and fill this one out as well. It's going to be essentially the same as this up here, these 4 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, name, address, city, state, zip, and then country. I'm going to copy those 4, and I'm going to replace these 4 down here, but instead of, you know, the lowercase name, we need the capital S, capital S, capital S, capital S, and don't forget over here state and zip. Control S to save. And now what I'm going to do is push that up to the server. Display form data, push that up to the web server. And I'm going to come back to, this is my test one that's in my assignment 3 folder. I'm on get form data. It should submit to that 3rd page, display form data. This is what I had typed in, just all the nonsensical garbage. So we probably want to come all the way back to the index page, refresh that page, and actually put in something so that it looks like it's supposed to. And then I'm going to leave this blank so that it just copies over. Come to the next page, it copies all the data over, come to the 3rd page, and now we've got it laid out kind of like an address label. So name, address, city, state, zip, with the comma space there and the space here. Country, phone, email address, the comments, and then the same thing that happens over here again. And that completes the assignment. So you're going to wind up with 3 pages on your assignment 3 folder on the server: index, get form data, display form data. The code for all 3 of those pages, as always, is posted on the page here. So if you can either pause this video or you can look at that code as well. And again, that's it's a fundamental aspect of web development. Understanding post and get, understanding name equal value pairs being sent from page A to page B, and so on. We're going to be using it the entire rest of the semester. That will lead us into the next assignment where we convert this into sessions.